Hey guys, welcome to Real Talk Weekly with Josh and Badan. We're here to talk about the dirty secret of commercial property. Yield isn't found, it's built. Hey guys, how's everyone doing?
Everyone's well. I've been well. How's the day been for you?
Good. Nothing like better on a Monday night. Real Talk Weekly. We've got an interesting topic tonight, Badan.
A bit dirty or maybe clean, but it's a secret.
It is, and it's happening right amongst us.
Very much.
A couple of suburbs, couple of examples we want to share with you tonight. Into what we're talking about when it comes to building yields.
Yes.
Now, I thought we'd start bids with explaining to viewers the difference or key differences between a residential investment versus a commercial investment, and particularly in regards to tenants.
Yes, very much.
I know a big one commercially wise is the contribution towards outgoings.
Very much, yeah.
Big one. Now, guys, if you're not sure of what outgoings is, this is generally expenses on a property. Yeah. So, for example, on a freehold space in Brookvale, this would be things like council rates. It'd be things like potentially land tax in some deals, which is a big, massive one.
Chunk,
big one for landlords.
Yes.
And then when you're in strata titled areas, warehouses, you're talking about the strata rates.
Strata rates, levies are there.
Yeah.
Lots of factors which change every year, I believe.
Yeah.
And if tenants responsible for it, that's one headache less for you. So no matter how much it fluctuates, it's all taken care of.
Definitely, and I think it shows a true yield, or what we call a net yield on the property. Obviously, once you take out those expenses. Now, if we compare that to residential, you own a unit, you're not charging your tenant your council rates. You're not charging your tenant other things like strata levies. So it's definitely a big advantage in the commercial space, having those outgoings costs paid by the tenant. Another big one. Bids, you want to talk about the next one?
Definitely. I think what I've noticed is most people, especially in the Sydney market, they're obsessed with the residential. Like every person I talk to, like, I want to buy a house, I want to buy 10 houses, but this is one residential. And every time, because we both do both residential and commercial, we know both sides. And when I talk to them, do you want to explore the commercial side? And they always say it's too risky. And I go back to them, is it risky because you don't know everything, or is it risky because you didn't explore it at all? So what I think is this lack of education. And the commercial investors that we meet, they always say, should have started commercial way too earlier.
Yeah, definitely. Right? I think it myself. If you think prior to getting into real estate, you really didn't know too much about the commercial side of the business. So it definitely is about that learning process. And guys, you got to think about things like tenancy terms. So I've got some landlords over in the commercial space that are tying up sites from as little as 3 years to as big as 20.
20, yeah.
So instead of having to find potentially a new tenant on a year-by-year basis, or hoping that tenant re-signs on a year-by-year basis, with commercial, you get that certainty and that longer tenant aspect, so that you know what you're in for over the coming years. So I think that generally that outgoings perspective, your annual increases increasing with costs.
The compounding is, I think, your best friend.
Easily.
Imagine there's a 10-year lease, increases by 4% every year. By the end of that 10 year, you will be going over with a big chunk of money. And even if you want to sell in between, the potential buyers or investors will look into that future compounding that's going to happen. So that's what it's all about. It's the magic of numbers. And I say to buyers all the time, residential is all about emotional. Like you grow up doing it, you move houses, you see your mom and dad do it, you see your brothers do it. But commercial is all mathematical. If the numbers make sense, people will move heaven and earth to make it happen.
Definitely. And I think another thing to note about the commercial side of things, guys, I could have essentially two properties side by side, but be valued differently. And that's because we don't only value commercial spaces on square meter rates, but also the rent itself. So as that rent increases, so does the value of that property, because people will look to buy investments based off yields. So that's another advantage that you're going to get when it comes to commercial. And it's quite crazy. If you were to increase your rental return by 10,000 a year, working off a rough 5% yield rate, that equates to about $200,000 in value, your property value in an increase. And even if you don't capture all of that increase, I dare say most of the time you're going to capture more than not at all. So I think it's an amazing point. And like I said, Bids and I really want to push the real life examples, educate the viewers on what's out there and the opportunity. I think there's a fantastic investor that us at Novak have had the pleasure to deal with in Brookvale. Guys, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Brookvale, but a couple of those streets don't look like they've changed for some time. And we've had a really smart investor that's come in, found properties where he can essentially not buy and have that yield, but relating to our topic, where he actually builds yield into the investment. And we've got a really good example to show you today. I'll see if I can just pop this up in the screen quickly for us, Bids.
Definitely. Well, like this is a property that in the residential market, we call it the ugly duckling. So, people always look for, give me one of those rundown units. I'll renovate and sell it for a bigger money. So this is one of the gentlemen who has that eye, but for commercial, and is, I think, killing it, is from what I can see. So he's picking up these buildings that have been sitting for a while, the freestanding ones. When you drive down, you see these really old buildings that have been the shops that have been there for 50, 60 years. So there you go. As you can see, buildings like this, he just picked this up. And if you walk past there right now, you wouldn't be able to recognize if it's the same building, right?
It's insane. This was an odd 1,000 square meter block over in Chard Road. It was purchased for circa $4.80 million. Essentially, beforehand, guys, the breakout of this property was there was one tenant downstairs, which was a gas appliances company. Then upstairs was actually a residential component where the owner had been living.
Interesting mix, which we don't see every day.
You don't. But Brookvale, you always see something new. But that was the original layout. The property was only generating roughly about 50 to 60 grand income. So in terms of yield, you're looking at about 2.5%. That's typically what you find on residential houses. So for this investor to come in and do what he did, it was quite special. So we're going to pop up now. You've seen that there. I'm going to pop up another screen here, and here we have the finished product. So here we are here.
Just look at it. It's like the Hampton style, but for the commercial.
It is. He's done an amazing job. So to give you an idea, guys, previously you had that undercover space which wasn't closed off. You had a warehouse area behind that, then some offices, and like we mentioned, the residential on that top level. What he's managed to now do is create 3 separate warehouse turnkey operating spaces. And then out of the residential component upstairs, he's actually turned that into offices with a lovely courtyard upstairs.
That's good.
So I'll take you through. You can see here, he's basically gone in, it's paint, it's a new kitchenette, it's a new bathroom, it's polished flooring.
The floors looks great.
And guys, I don't know if you've ever looked out in Brookvale. It's very hard for tenants or people looking to lease, sell properties to present them in this condition. Because generally, if they are, they're operating out of them. So there's definitely that missing in the market. And these are the sort of areas where you want to look for destinations where are lacking certain stock in the market and catering to that demand.
Very much like the good old supply versus demand. And I think this gentleman did it perfectly. Because if you have a premium product, you will attract premium clients. So same with the tenants. A tenant would be a premium tenant because they want a good location where they can attract premium clients of their own. So you're in the different class of property, and best thing is you'll attract a very, very, very high end rental income. And once they're in there, it's a finished product. They will do well, and it will be a long-term business. So you secure for at least 5 to 6 years that you have a set rental income coming in. And what's supposed to a residential, you won't get calls every few months saying, the toilet's broken, the sink's leaking, because with commercial, the tenants take care of it all.
And yeah, as a landlord, you're really only responsible for structural repairs, so things like slabs and roofs. So you're exactly right. We all know the headache of of investments in residential and things breaking down, things there's water. We've heard all the stories, but I think exactly what we've shown you is a key model. Look, everyone might not have the investment level for 4 million in a project this big, but we wanted to run through the numbers. Like I said, he was earning roughly that. Well, the property was generating 50 to 60 grand's worth of income. What we're looking at now is almost 4 times, at least 4 to 5 times the actual rent. Once we've got all the tenants in, out of the 4 spaces, 1 is leased. We've got another person seriously interested in another space in there currently. With these sort of projects, you want to make sure that your tenants that you're bringing in have that long-term outlook. It's really important when delivering this product that you have that perfect match made in heaven in regards to tenant and landlord. So you will have probably a prolonged, more of a prolonged period once you first establish finding that right tenant. But let me say that time is worth its weight in gold, because you worry about the first maybe 2, 3, 4 months, but like we said, for the next 5, 10 years, that property takes care of itself. So I think it's an amazing opportunity and something that people are missing completely.
Very much. This is walk past it every day. They know, you need an industrial hub for a city to run or for an area to run, and want to be a part of it. There's a lot of demand. Brookville's always growing. Every business you see, it wants to be in Brookville, and you'll see them for 10, 20 years minimum.
Definitely.
Right. They're always there. Once they enter, they never want to leave. And we'll have plenty of people in our database who are looking for a site like this because they want to enter Brookville. It's that untouched area which everyone wants to go. And I think that's the best way of building that yield. And actually, it will catapult into getting that property value up as well. As Josh initially mentioned, property valuation in commercial, we base it off rental yield as well. Or why not just as per square meter? So as soon as the yield goes up, the property value goes up. So even he probably spent, let's say, 800, 900 grand.
Oh, probably I wouldn't say even that much.
That's me being generous. Because it's basically just cosmetic, nothing major, and it probably added $2 to $3 million in the property valuation. Yeah,
well, by the time it's fully leased out, exactly. And when we were comparing yields prior to him purchasing this property, we're looking at 2.5, and Bidan and I were just running the figures, and it was shooting out 8.5%, which is, that's the smart money, guys. That's the gold. That's what majority of people aren't doing. And the people that do and take those educated risks, they're succeeding, and it's working. We see this day to day, and
it's a real life example.
It really is.
It's not us making numbers.
And maybe just to give viewers an understanding, something on a smaller scale. You might have a traditional warehouse like the ones we've spoken up in Rodber Road. A good idea at lifting your rental return or yield on properties such as this is also splitting it into two tenancies. So there's quite a easy way to do a partition wall, which is easily removable, and creating 2 spaces within. Generally, to find one tenant at 70 is going to be more difficult than finding 2 tenants at 40 each. So not only do you find the tenant quicker because you're in that lower cost category, but you're also, with 2 of them, going to get a higher income altogether. Obviously, there is a little bit of difficulty in managing 2 tenants as opposed to 1, but with these investments, we're chasing one thing, guys, and that's money. That's return on investment.
Very true.
And I'm finding this to be a massive thing, and all the smart operators I see doing this tends to go pretty well, doesn't it?
Yes, very much.
Definitely.
The gentleman who bought this, picking a commercial property about 4,080 and having the cash to renovate and juice it up. He'd done that in the past, and he had that success. He tasted the fruit. So definitely it's there. And if there's any question you need help with those sites, what's the right thing to do? Because you don't want to put money on random renovation, make it all high end and not get that return. So you got to pick the right things, and we always here to help.
Yeah, definitely. Right. And guys, I think that's what Brooke is shouting from the hills from. Besides your maybe Alexandria's over in the east, I really think something like Brookvale is and it's why it's so tightly held. It's
Exactly.
special. Being that close to the beach, like we said, an industrial
Yeah.
hub. You obviously can operate businesses and do things there that you can't do in other areas.
Yeah.
And that limited supply is always going to work well because there's always going to be demand for it.
Yeah.
So really think this is a big topic. And for anyone with, that investment frame of mind that's traditionally resi, I implore you to look into commercial because there are a lot of benefits people are leaving underneath their
Very
noses.
much. And you don't have to start big, start easy. We got storage and people's buying for 30 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand, using this money from their super, right? Which they have been working throughout their whole life. But the super, that money just stays there. They utilize it, started easy, because until you get your hands dirty, no matter how much someone explains it to you, it's not gonna happen. So,
unfortunately, the easy money's not there in the market now. It's for those people that think outside the box, and bringing up those storage units is a perfect example, guys. We have storage units at $30,000 plus GST. One of our owners or buyers for that particular stock is now renting that out at a 10% yield. Which essentially means he pays it off in 10 years and it's generating a passive income for him and his family.
Exactly.
Which is the end goal when it comes to investing. So, guys, look into it. Reach out to us, the Novak team, the commercial team. More than happy to help, walk you through, educate you. Whether you're a buyer or a seller, would love to help.
Or someone who's curious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We always love talking commercial, don't we, Vince?
Definitely.
But yeah, guys, thank you for tonight. And if you have any
Yeah.
questions, feel free to reach out.
For sure. Have a good night.
See you guys.
Yeah.